start with some values. So let's just make it easy. X equals 2, y equals 3. And the way that we start a conditional is with our if statement. So we can have it a standalone if statement. So we can do something like if x is less than y. We want to do something. The way you do it in Python is with this colon. So if we hit colon, that's telling Python that this statement, this if statement, ends here as we go forward. So let's see what happens when we hit enter. You can see it keeps us in line with that. It has tabbed us over. So the way that Python blocks code is by creating a tab. And so these 4 spaces here, anything that's in line with that will be under that if statement as we go forward. So let's see what happens if x is less than y. Let's print this will work, something like that. And then our other, well, this will work. It's a little bit too vague. Let's say we do this. Let's do x is, let's put a space in there, is less than space y. And let's see what happens. So if we run this, we can see that 2 is less than 3, and that's what showed up. So what happened is it went and it asked this question, and we were able to say that was true, and so it executed this print statement. We could ask more questions. We could make it a standalone if statement. So we could do if x is not equal to 5, then do something. And so it tells me, I can say print x, comma, is not 5. And let's see what happens there. It'll execute both of those as we go through it. We could attach other things to these. So I could do something like this. I could do an else statement. Else doesn't take any arguments, so it's just else and then colon, and then right there we'd print x is 5. And let's run it. Nothing's going to change, right? The difference is now if we flip it, where x is now 5, let's think about what's going to happen. This is not going to be true, so we shouldn't print this, right? 5 is not equal to 5. That's a false statement, so this is not going to be true. And so we're going to get to this piece as we go forward. And let's see where we go here. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. And there we go. 5 is 5. And so it came and it executed that piece. We can add a little bit more in there as well if we want. So we could get another line. And let's say we wanted to ask another question. We want to say else if, right? We want something like that. We don't do it that way here. What we have is an elif statement, and we put elif. We need to put a condition on it. Let's say y is equal to 3. So the way that we test for equality in Python is with this equal equal. So this piece here is asking the question, does y equal 3? Right? That's different than y equals 3. This is assigning that value to 3, right? The equal equal is asking the question. So it's something to keep in mind as we go forward. So if y is equal to 3, we want to print something, and let's say we'll print y is 3. And let's see what happens if we run it. And we go from there, and we get 3 is 3. Right? That's that statement there. We can see it didn't go down here, and it didn't ask that question because it stopped at this point. Now at this point it's a little bit hard to kind of see what Python is doing. It does it so quickly. In other languages we can put a breakpoint in by like clicking on the line. You can fold this code if you click on the line number. That's not really what we want to do. So we're going to use a different tool to kind of see what's happening here. So if we copy our code and we go to pythontutor.com and we click on start using it, what this will do is allow us to step through our code like a debugger would allow us to do. So we're using Python 2.7. Go ahead and paste our code in there. There it is. And so there's our code, and what we're going to do is visualize the execution, and we'll see what happens here. So we're going to step forward. We can see this is the line that it's at. X is 5. Right? It's going to make some variable x and make it 5. It's going to make some variable y and equal 3. And it's going to ask this question, is x less than y? So that's going to come back as a false statement. And so you can see it skipped over that print statement, didn't execute it. Is x not equal to 5? So is 5 not equal to 5? Well, let's see, that's going to be skipped as we go forward. We're going to look at, is y equal to 3? That's a true statement. So it's going to print this, and then it's going to stop. It's going to get out of the loop. And you can see this is the print statement. That's what got printed out. Now we can change it. Let's say we make y4. So if we go back here and we make y4 and we visualize it, right? We step forward. We can see y is 4. There's our variable. That's not true. That's not going to print anything there. That's not true. That's going to print there. That's not true. And we're going to get to this else piece where we print x is equal to 5. We get the 5 is equal to 5. All right. So if we want to edit it, we can go again. We can do stuff like nested conditionals, and we can see how that looks. So I'm going to ask this question: if y equal 4. So if y is equal to 4, I want to print y comma was 4. And we'll see what happens. So let's do this. We're not going to make that work unless x is less than y. So let's make it a 3 again, and let's go ahead and visualize it. You can see what it's going to do. So it's going to make my variables. Right? There's 3, there's the 4, and now y is x less than y. That's true. So it's going to print that piece. So it printed it down there, and you can see now it's going to ask this question: is y equal to 4? It is, and now it's going to print that piece and go forward. Now, it is going to ask this question, and we'll change it just a little bit, and we'll see the difference here. This is a standalone if statement. So the way that this is working is this is one block of code. Imagine in Scratch, and this is a standalone block of code. And so it will ask that question. We can change it to make it all linked up. That's a really common mistake of what things are attached to. So it's going to ask that question: is x not equal to 5? And that will be a true statement. So it's going to print x is not equal to 5, and then it's going to stop because it is attached to these pieces. So what I mean by trying to make it more of a block of code is if we just change a little bit and make this an elif, now all of these are attached in one block of code. So if one of these is true, it won't execute the rest of them. That could be a big difference as we go forward. Oops, I killed it. Alright, I might have reset that. Let's just make this an elif to start off the bat. And we can see what happens as we visualize this. If the first piece is true, it won't get to the rest. The first piece in this case won't be true, so it's going to go all the way through it. So let's just go all the way to the end. There's our output. We can edit it. Let's make this a 2. Let's visualize it. And you can see as it steps through, it makes our variables. That's true. It goes there, and then it stops. Because again, all of this is one block of code. And so if one of those conditionals is met, it will be, it'll stop. One last thing to look at is we can make what's called a compound conditional. So we could say is x greater than 0 and is y less than 5. If that's true, print this worked. And let's think about it for a second. If we have these values, is that going to work? Is this a true statement? Yes. Is this a true statement? Yes. True and true will be true, and so this will happen. We can change it a little bit and see what happens. If x is less than 0 and y is less than 5. So only one of those is true. Print this didn't happen. And what we mean by that is it's not going to get to that line because an and has to be true and true, and this is false. False and true is false. We can change it a little bit if we do if x is less than 0 or y is less than 5. Print this is an or statement. Something like that. Let's see what happens as we step through it. So it goes, the first one makes our variables. There's x, there's y. It's going to ask that question, are both of those true? It is true, so it's going to print that there. It worked. And then it's going to skip to the next one because they're not connected. that is not going to be true, so it skipped it. And then this is false, this is true, false or true is true, and so it's going to print that piece as we go forward. All right. We'll get a lot of practice with this. Again, keep in mind the formatting and what your conditionals look like. If you need to draw your scratch blocks around stuff, that can be helpful too, right? This is a block of code, this is a block of code, this is a block of code, as we keep it in mind.